Alrighty, so now we're going to talk about the other conference final that is San Diego versus the Vancouver Whitecaps in the Western Conference final. And I kind of had a feeling this was going to be a conference final in the West. I mean, I mentioned it a couple of times when both of these teams met each other in the regular season that it feels like this could be a preview of the conference final. And that's not just because of the fact that both of these teams have been 1-2 with each other pretty much almost for the entire season, but it just kind of had a feeling that both of these teams is going to do something special. And yet, despite the fact that I said all that, if you would have told me that this year's Western Conference final would be San Diego FC versus Vancouver Whitecaps, everybody would have laughed at you. I mean, even San Diego and Vancouver fans probably will laugh at you because not in a million years you would have thought that this was going to be the matchup in the beginning of the season, especially with the way that I know the West is could be a little bit more unpredictable compared to the East, but nobody would have thought in the beginning of the season that these two teams would be sort of the height that they are what we're seeing in today. But yet, one of these teams is going to be making it to MLS Cup, and one of these teams will have the honor to either face against the giant known as Inter Miami, or the fact that if they hope that NYCFC can pull off the big upset, they get a chance to host MLS Cup in front of their backyard. Now, this game will start at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. All-time meeting, 1-1 and 0 in terms of the all-time meeting. The first ever meeting was absolutely insane. I mean, that was an all-time classic with San Diego winning 5-3 against Vancouver, and that was the game where Milan Linlowski scored 4 goals for San Diego. No longer on this team, and even though he's no longer on this team, it feels like they might have found his replacement that we'll get to in just a bit. But the other matchup, it was a 1-1 draw between both of these teams at Snapdragon Stadium. And by the way, I talk about how in the game between NYCFC versus Inter Miami, where it feels like that game maybe a little bit more predictable, consider that Inter Miami is heavy favorites coming into this one. I feel like this one is tougher to predict because both of these teams definitely have some weapons in their arsenal in terms of getting the win, and in terms of quality itself. I mean, both of these teams are kind of pretty even with each other, and it can definitely go either way. So, well, I think in that Inter Miami versus NYCFC game, either we're gonna see a giant upset by NYCFC, or Inter Miami just do what they did to Cincinnati, which is absolutely thrash NYCFC in the conference final. This one, I think, is going to be much closer, and I would not be surprised if this might go all the way to a PK shootout to decide. Now, in the last round for both of these teams, it wasn't easy for both of these teams to get to the conference final. In the last round, San Diego was able to win 1-0 against Minnesota, but that was a very frustrating game for San Diego. I mean, they pretty much just could not break down the Loons defense for most of the game, and just one more magic from Anders Stryer, who you know we see this happen pretty much throughout this entire season. He's kind of one of the biggest reason why they're in this game in the first place, is the difference for them to move on into the next round. Whereas the Whitecaps, they had a 2-0 lead against LAFC, looked like everything was great, and then the typical Vancouver sports collapse thought that it would happen with them giving up two goals, including one literally at the dying minutes of regulation. They also had a man sent off for the remaining of the game, but they prevailed in the PK shootout. However, that player that got sent off was Tristan Blackman, and we'll talk about just a bit how big of that loss could be for this Vancouver Whitecaps team. So yeah, both of these teams definitely face some adversity in terms of the conference semifinal, but both of them are now facing against each other in a right to advance to MLS Cup out of the West. Now, the three key points for this game, obviously, this game is going to be big in terms of the fact that there's a lot of big name players for both of these sides. So whereas in the Inter Miami versus NYCFC game, I mean, we talk about all the big star player for Inter Miami, and I do feel like I probably should have also mentioned the fact that for NYCFC, they also have some big name of their own, though. One of the biggest name that they had in Alonso Martinez is not available for the rest of the season because of a torn ACL, and they're going to have to rely on the ageless wonder known as Maxim Morales, able to carry them through. This game, though, there are definitely big names for both of these teams. Obviously, for San Diego, it's pretty obvious, who is the biggest name on this team. It's got to be Anders Schreier. I mean, a guy that, I thought with him doing a carry job in the regular season, I didn't think that was sustainable even until the postseason. And honestly, in a world where if Messi didn't come in this league and just absolutely dominate the league like he has done for the past couple of years, and especially in the playoffs as well, Undershar would be flat out MVP this season. I mean, it wouldn't even be a discussion in terms of him winning MVP, but unfortunately, the GOAT himself also exists in this league, and that I think we probably know who, of course, is gonna win MVP after that. But that doesn't diminish of what Undershar has done and what he's meant to this club. I mean, not only is the heart and soul of this team, but he's a guy that has time and time again comes up big, scoring big goals to prevail. The last game was a latest example of it. I mean, it was a very frustrating game. Like I said, San Diego play against Minnesota. They really didn't get anything going, at least on the attacking end. But Undershar, with a moment of magic, is able to prevail them to this game. And don't be surprised, it might be the same case as well. But I also want to mention another name that could be a big difference maker this San Diego team, Amal Pellegrino. And as a Quakes fan, I know people is gonna continue to ask me, do I regret the fact that the Quakes let go of Amal Pellegrino? No. I think in the end the Quakes make the right decision to decide to let go of Amal Pellegrino. The problem with Amal Pellegrino when he was with the Quakes is that he just simply cannot finish, and it just kind of feel like the Quakes didn't really kind of have that patience anymore in terms of all the misses that he has, and during his early days with San Diego, you kind of saw the problem with him that kind of translate of why the Quakes let him go in the first place. He just could not put the ball into the back net. He was going for a long goal drought, but as the old saying goes, when you're a number 9, if you finally can break that goal drought and that curse, everything will open you up. And it couldn't be more fruitful in terms of what happened to Amal Pellegrino for the rest of the season. I mean, with him finally scoring that goal, finally breaking the his goal curse, he's been blossoming in a big way there. He's pretty much finally the Milan and Losky replacement that they've been wanted for a very long time, and he's also been scoring some big goals for the San Diego side in this playoffs as well. So he's definitely going to need to show up. And in the Vancouver side, obviously everybody will talk about Thomas Muller in terms of the impact that he has. But let's also not forget about other very important player in this team too. Brian White been big throughout the season as well. Hasn't really quite done so, at least in the playoffs, but no doubt he's going to be a dangerous as well. And then you have the likes of Sabi and in the midfield. Let's also not forget about Sebastian Berhalter, who seemed like he probably might have just booked his tickets to the World Cup for the U.S. I mean, with him performing so well with the Whitecaps, and even doing the international break as well, being an absolute engine in that midfield, I feel like he's definitely earned his spot in the U.S. men's national team World Cup roster coming up in the summer as well. So yeah, with all these big names player for both of these teams, it'll be very interesting to see who, of course, will step up the most. And I feel like whoever wins this game will definitely be coming from one of their big name player from either of these teams. Which team, of course, will dictate the flow and dictate the play, whereas the other will definitely force to not have the ball and defend. So one of the things when you look at tactically for both of these teams likes to have the ball. Both of these teams are among the highest in terms of possession. In fact, I think they're probably neck and neck with each other, maybe even 1-2 in terms of possession. That is so. Both of these managers like to dictate the control of the game. Now, obviously, when you have a situation like this, unfortunately, one of the team will have to be forced to not have the ball, and I have a feeling probably that team is going to have to force to not have the ball and defend. It's got to be the Vancouver Whitecaps. Normally, whenever you see a road team go on the road facing against a team that likes to have the ball, it's always going to be like that, where the home team is always going to be the protagonist. And San Diego throughout the season have shown that they have always been the protagonist when they're playing at home, even against teams that likes to have possession as well. Though that being said, that might not be a bad thing for the Vancouver Whitecaps, that they're not going to have as much of the ball as they usually have. The thing about the Vancouver Whitecaps that they're also very dangerous, and this kind of goes back to when Vanni Sartini was still the head coach of this team. They have a lot of speedy players on this team. I have a feeling guys like Emmanuel Sabi and Ami Aled is gonna absolutely bomb for go on the transitional point, and that's kind of the thing that I think San Diego's got to be careful about, because one thing about San Diego is that they not only like to control the ball, but sometimes they do like to play a high line a bit to try to win the ball back and keep that possession. Well, when you do that, when you're facing against a really dangerous transitional team, yeah, that means that you're gonna let space at the back. And in the game against Minnesota, even though Minnesota didn't really do as much as I was hoping that they could could do, they still created some chances as well, especially on the set piece as well. And that's kind of maybe a way for Vancouver to try to attack the San Diego team, where they're gonna definitely respect them when it comes to maybe sitting back and look on the counter, but they know that they have the weapon to do so, and San Diego's got to be careful because of it, and also making sure they're not frustrated when they are getting a have to face a low block. I think the game against Minnesota is a blueprint to how to prepare for the San Diego team. Vancouver and Jasper Sorensen probably have saw what Eric Ramsey did, and I'm feeling he's probably going to do something similar to that. But the difference is that whereas I know Minnesota might not have a lot of quality when it comes to at times going through the transitional moment, especially with the loss of Taniola Shai. That's different for the Vancouver Whitecaps. They definitely have the weapons going for in the transition, and that could be something that could be a huge difference makers, and the thing that maybe Vancouver is going to try to do in this game against this possession happy kind of San Diego side. And then last but not least, how big of a blow it is for a Tristan Blackman absent to an already decimated Vancouver backline. So as much as I talk about San Diego and the concern with the transitional moment, my other concern with this Vancouver team is, with Tristan Blackman being out of this team for this conference final because of the red card that he got in the previous game. That is a huge blow to this Vancouver backline. I mean, he is the defender of the year for a reason, and he has been the linchpin of that backline. And with a team that knowing that they're gonna have to defend a lot, and knowing that they have to be stealthful, missing their key defensive player, that is gonna be a huge blow for this Vancouver team. And can San Diego capitalize on this, knowing that San Diego doesn't have to worry about facing against a team that Vancouver. I feel like throughout the season, while they have defended well, and while they have definitely done well when it comes to facing adversity, this is definitely a huge miss, and we have seen at times when they are missing some of their key players, especially at the back. That's when the defense started to become leaky, and I worry this could be the case for the Vancouver Whitecaps, where they're without their main centerpiece at the back. This could really be making this Whitecaps defense much more weaker than we are seeing, and that might be something that San Diego is going to capitalize, because again, for the Whitecaps, if they're gonna play that defensive kind of style similar to what Minnesota did to San Diego, they need to be disciplined at the back, and a guy that will definitely help that discipline would definitely be Tristan Blackman, but unfortunately he's not going to be available for this game, so that will really be a telling tale in terms of not only how big of a blow this is, but also can these reserve players can stepped up. And throughout the season, Vancouver has always had that next man up mentality. With the way that they've been battling through injuries throughout the season, and the fact that they're still standing with tall, I have a feeling maybe they might not feel like the loss of Blackman as big as what people said. But we shall see when the game goes along, and how, whether or not, if San Diego can be able to dissect this Vancouver team that maybe will not be as good defensively, mainly because they are missing their linchpin at the back. But other than that, I mean, again, I think this is going to be close. I can definitely see this game go either way. I would hope that Vancouver would make it to MLS Cup, mainly because I did pick them to reach MLS Cup. In fact, I picked them to win the whole thing as well. So it kind of makes me a little bit of a genius if they are able to get the win. But I also don't mind San Diego making it to MLS Cup again. San Diego has already made a lot of history. They're not only in uncharted territory right now, but this is something I didn't think we would ever see again in MLS, an expansion team doing this well. I mean, we saw it with Nashville a couple of years ago, with them making it to the conference semifinal, but ultimately falling for that. I didn't think it was going to be the case for San Diego as well. But yeah, if they can win this one, they definitely are one step closer in terms of not only reaching history, but joining a very elusive club, of the fact that to this day, only the '98 Chicago Fire is the only team to win MLS Cup in their expansion season as well. And while some will debate that maybe that Chicago team was maybe a little bit more impressive because they also won the U.S. Open Cup that year as well. Remember, back in '98, the competition in MLS is definitely not as intense as it is, and especially there was fewer team as well and fewer steps to get into MLS Cup as well, and doesn't it's not as big of a gauntlet as what we see with San Diego has to deal with. This would be even more impressive. I would say if San Diego can somehow not only pull off this victory, went on to go all the way and win MLS Cup and stun everyone. But yeah, like I said, I'm very excited to see how this will play out. And again, we'll see whether or not if one of these teams not only will win this conference final, but they may have a chance to host if NYCFC can do them a solid favor and cause a major upset in the other conference final against Inter Miami. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this game and your prediction in terms of who will win this one. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.